Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and now we have over 100 clients. And we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 4 different TV studios with a staff of over 20. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Welcome to another episode. I'm excited to have a friend and a colleague in entrepreneurship. Amit Kapoor is the president of Caddy Printing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
And we met through a wonderful organization called Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. And it's one of those organizations that help young entrepreneurs, and in the case of myself, 56 not so young entrepreneurs, grow their business. Printing, it's a age-old business. Printing presses have been around forever. How did you get into it?
Me personally, I got into it because it was a family business. So I'm actually the second generation owner of Caddy Printing.
Now, you were telling me that as a boy, the last thing you ever wanted to do was printing.
I think as a boy and as an adult and a young adult, pretty much anything until about the age of 35 when I started doing it.
All right, so what happened? What were you doing when you were 35?
I had worked probably about the previous 10 years in various functions at internet companies, mostly in business development and marketing and largely in consumer internet types of things. I was living in California and San Francisco, where the center of it all is, and I just realized I didn't really like it anymore. I didn't like where it was going. I didn't like just the way decisions were being made, and I wanted a career change.
That's cool.
So I decided to change my location and change my job and come and resume the family business.
That's wonderful. Well, we're going to show some pictures of Caddy Printing. This is actually, I guess, a high school tour or something you guys gave recently?
Yeah, I think we did that a few months ago. Somebody from Skyline High School contacted us, and they actually have a printing specialty program where high school kids, as a vocation, kind of learn the art of printing, and it could prepare them for a later career in it. So they had contacted us about spending half a day and doing a tour of the facility.
And I was on your website. I was really impressed with the vast variety of stuff that you print. We're going to show some images of the different things that you do, but almost anything that you can put on a cup or a brochure, or you do, right?
Yeah, anything that can really start with a flat piece, that can start with a piece of paper. And a lot of times that can end up as an envelope or a label or anything folded, any tons of different ways.
What's the oddest request you've ever gotten?
The oddest request? Well, the really odd ones we can't fulfill because we just physically can't do them.
Yes.
I need to think of what would be the oddest request. We get, we have had somebody ask us before if we can print money. Literally. And it wasn't, I don't think they were joking.
Really?
Yeah.
You should say, let me put you on hold for half a second.
Yeah,
Yes, FBI, we got one.
Correct.
That is an odd request.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, are you finding that you love the business?
Yeah, I love the nature of it. I love completely different to what I was doing before. I love sort of packaging and delivering many things a day. So I really like that. I like that there's something physical that didn't exist in previous days that we make and box up and deliver to a customer. It's a very short cycle of production, and I really enjoy that.
I saw something on your Facebook, and I want to show this picture, a brochure from the Kid Craddock show. So I knew Kid before he passed,
Yeah.
and I thought it was cool that you, I guess, remembered him that way. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I didn't. I think that was before I joined the business, but we had at one point the entire Clear Channel account. So I think
Wow.
all of the personalities that went under their umbrella, we'd print business cards and folders and things like that.
Is that kind of cool to, you listen to the radio and you hear this person, you're like, hey, I do that guy.
Yeah, totally. And we do a lot for different arts organizations around Dallas, so I'll hear different things on the radio or different performances, and it's kind of fun to know that we're a part of it. And the same goes for some sports teams and other high-profile events, too.
Well, on your website is a whole gallery of logos of clients that you've worked for, so we're going to put that up. And you've got some Fortune 500 companies that you work for. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of your bigger kind of Dallas, North Texas-based companies we do a substantial amount of work for.
Look at that. American Airlines, DART, Frito-Lay, ExxonMobil. That's amazing.
Yep, and there's several others that they don't necessarily allow suppliers to put their logos on their websites, but there's tons of organizations that we've touched around Dallas, both big and small.
What's the biggest job that you've done since you took over?
The biggest single job?
Yeah.
We've done, I don't know if this is the biggest, but we've done something earlier this year it ultimately went to a school district, but it's a certain type of educational material that they printed somewhere in the nature of 4 to 5 million different pads that would be distributed through schools, and it's kind of like an IQ training.
No kidding.
But it was essentially what we printed ended up in every school throughout the state of Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
And when you get an order like that, when they say, yeah, we just need 4 to 5 million.
Yes. It's funny because the inquiries come in the same way, whether they need $100 worth of stuff or they need $40,000 worth of stuff. They often start with a Google search and a phone call, and they can just end up wildly differently.
Well, I know for decades now, everybody's been talking about kind of the death of print, and everything's going digital. But you're not experiencing that, are you?
No, I think there's been some downturn, but it's been good downturn. A lot of junk has gone away. You don't get nearly as much junk in the mail, and there's not as much wastage. But there are certain things that print of certain value it adds to brands and companies and so forth. And it's still a low-cost way of sending a message. And so, yeah, it's thriving, and I think it actually is having a bit of a renaissance as sort of the anti-digital.
Yeah.
You know, because people do get fatigued, and they like to touch things. They like to see colors be brighter. They like to make statements and stick with them.
You know, there's a famous index called the Cardboard Box Index, and Greenspan would call cardboard box manufacturers before he would decide whether to raise or lower rates, and he'd say, hey, how many cardboard boxes are you printing these days? And it was a good, barometer of how the economy is doing. Probably the same thing can be said for print, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think when we see our business rise, it's probably a pretty good indicator of how the economy is doing and how it's gonna do. Because we'll do a lot of things. A lot of the stuff we print does end up inside of Amazon boxes. They can be fulfillment sheets or additional promo sheets. And so we have a pretty good idea when the economy is rising, we're rising, or if the economy is going to rise and entrepreneurship is rising, we kind of see that. If there's a lot of new businesses inquiring about ordering business cards and brochures and stuff for the first time, it means that a lot of people are starting businesses.
That's awesome. Okay, we're almost out of time for this segment, so we want to make sure to give a nice plug to the website, caddyprinting.com, and it's caddy like a golf caddy.
Correct, CADDY printing.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
All right, and we'll see you next time.